Good evening. As Doug said, I'm Jana Rady, and I'm the Associate Dean of the MAC program here. And I would like to echo Atul's comments that this is nerve-wracking because of who I'm presenting. It is my great privilege, I'm humbled, and I'm inspired to present to you Lewis Burton as our Alumni Merit Award. Most people's formal bios are pretty straightforward, listing essential details such as work history, leadership positions, education, and civic engagements. And while Lewis Burton's bio certainly contains all these components, there's also a glimpse of his genuineness shining through. For instance, he doesn't just provide business services. He helps people start and save their dreams. And in helping individuals and small businesses achieve their potential, Lewis states that these partnerships are rewarding for him also, often developing into relationships that have lasted a lifetime. Barbara Sims, who sought out Lewis's business advisory services more than 40 years ago, says that not only has she learned so much over the years from being his client, but that he's still the first person she calls when she has questions about anything, government, finance, or her personal life. He's like the big brother I never had, she said. He's absolutely trustworthy and brilliant. He knows about everything and can hold a conversation on art, history, finance, whatever. Another of Lewis's longtime clients, Linda Burgess, said she had just a few words to describe Lewis: trustworthy, stringent, powerful, meticulous, punctual, thorough, considerate, judicious, far-sighted, prudent, progressive, and I think my favorite, compassionate. And one more client, John Bellamy, an entrepreneur and founder of several marketing businesses, had this to say about Lewis. He's not just a business associate. He has proven himself to be a friend because he's available and willing to do whatever he can to help. When he was having health challenges, he never let his clients know. Instead, he was still determined to take care of our needs, even when he was not at his physical best. Further, John explained that Lewis never just solves a problem for you, but he also teaches you how to solve your own problems. Lewis's path to Sage Business Advisor began as a UNC business student. A 1965 graduate, Lewis was a student here during a racially tense time. Lewis negotiated this tension in part by pouring himself into his studies. At the time, the BSBA program was a 4.5-year program, but Lewis went to school straight through the summers and graduated in 4 years. And then, though he didn't realize it at the time, it turns out that Lewis was the first African American to graduate from the business school. Upon graduation, many of Lewis's white peers headed to Florida to work for Price Waterhouse. But Lewis's academic advisor suggested he call on a firm based in Chicago known as Arthur Andersen, where race would be less of an issue. So from 1965 to 1978, Lewis worked his way up in the company to the position of senior audit manager in the manufacturing division. His tenure at Arthur Andersen was interrupted from 1966 to 1969 when he was drafted into the U.S. Army, attended officer training school, graduated with distinction, and rose to the rank of first lieutenant. He also attended George Washington University during this time. Back at Arthur Andersen, Lewis attended DePaul University, sat for and passed the CPA exam, and received his CPA certificate. Years later, Lewis also earned his MBA from Roosevelt University's Heller School of Business. As John Bellamy says of Lewis, he is continuously sharpening his skills and knowledge through research and education. All of Lewis's many degrees and accolades are impressive, but it's his emphasis on personal relationships that really solidifies his genuine character. Not to mention that all the while he was building a successful career, he was also committed to his roles as husband and father. Twice widowed, Lewis has 3 children, all college graduates with families of their own. And just as he keeps up with his clients, Lewis keeps up with his former classmates. Coleman Ross, a fellow business school classmate, said he and Lewis get together frequently now that he's living back in North Carolina. And they never run out of things to talk about. He's a history buff and can talk a lot about a lot of things, he said. As business students, Coleman and Lewis were part of a study group and became good friends. Color wasn't an issue, he said. We were there to learn. Well, except for that one time he pled my case when I flunked an exam. Another classmate, Larry Poe, a retired two-star Navy admiral, says that although they lost touch over the years, he and Lewis reconnected a few years ago around their 50th college reunion. Our conversation, even after so much time, was like we'd been friends all along, Larry said. We were close friends in college. He got me a job at the Carolina Inn, and we had the laborious task of cleaning the grill every day. The advantage was that you could eat all you wanted, which at the Carolina Inn seems like a pretty decent advantage. So that job sustained me at Carolina, and I wouldn't have gotten the job if it weren't for Lewis. Larry also notes that Lewis was always very serious. He said, I was most impressed with his sense of order and discipline and how he managed his time. He had the ability to focus, and that attentiveness isn't something that you can learn. His leadership was self-evident back then and proven in his career. It seems Lewis plays for keeps. Once a friend, always a friend. And this includes Carolina. As he makes sure to state in his bio, he is a life member of UNC's General Alumni Association. No messing around with the yearly dues. He's committed. He is a proud Tar Heel, and I'm very proud to present Lewis Burton with the Kenan-Flagler Alumni Merit Award.
I got a speech here for you. Okay, but it's short and to the point. Okay. Thank you for honoring me with this prestigious award, and I'm truly humble and grateful for this evening. Okay? So, the reward I'm receiving tonight is really not about me. Okay? It's not about me. It is about all of you in the audience and all the great people of the state of North Carolina for providing me this opportunity to attend this wonderful university. Okay? So let me repeat this. This is not about me. This is about you. Okay? Those persons who created this great university. And I had the privilege to attend. Okay? Now, there are 5 elements of how I got to this point, what I call how I got to the finish line. Okay? The first element was my parents, Scipio and Sadie Burton. First of all, many people ask me, why did you choose to attend the University of North Carolina? After all, it was only a few short years after UNC integrated. It was in 1961 when I applied. I was not trying to make a statement or prove a point. The reason was I did not want to attend Hampton University. Okay? I did not want to attend Hampton University. You see, my father always made plans in our family, and his plan was that I was to attend Hampton. And I was determined that I did not want to go to Hampton. Okay, my father agreed to let me go to Carolina, and it was the only time I can remember my father deferring to something that I wanted to do. Okay, my mother, Sadie, was all in for me going to UNC. I remember vividly my mother writing a letter to campus housing, asking them to please find housing for me and to make sure I had someplace to live on campus, okay? Because I did not apply until late April 1961. I'm in deep gratitude to my parents, okay? Now, the second element was my academic advisor, His name was Isaac Reynolds, a professor in the business school. Dr. Reynolds was a key element in my life at the time, as he advised me on academic matters and counseled me on what to do and what not to do during my stay at UNC. So many of my achievements and success in life are directly related to Isaac Reynolds. For example, he told me, not advised me, told me to take speed reading class, which I did. All right? Now, the third element of how I got here, I crossed the finish line, were my roommates at Carolina, Otto White and John Kirk in 1961. William Wicker was my classmate in '62. And Ozzie Faison from New Bern, North Carolina, was my classmate in '63 to 1965. These guys were the persons who told me the things I needed to hear. They kept me grounded. These guys helped me to solve those day-to-day problems that we five had to face as the only black students in the freshman class of 1961. Okay. Now, the next element. Two persons I met at UNC which caused me to see myself differently. One was Roger Davis, and the other person was Paul Dickerson. Paul Dixon. Roger Davis encouraged me to run for student council representing Craig Dormitory. Roger recruited me and served as my campaign manager. And we won the election in the spring of 1964. Roger died in a tragic automobile accident in the fall of 1965. He was a visionary. He made a major impact on my life. I will always be grateful to him, and I'm so glad I got to meet him. Okay? Now, as a result of me being elected to student government, I had the opportunity to meet and briefly work with Paul Dickerson. Paul was the student body president at Carolina at the time. He was an amazing guy and an amazing leader. Paul was inspirational to me and handled himself so well. He too left us at an early age, and I'm so thankful that I was able to interact with him. Now, the last element, okay, in the journey. The last element is Professor Harold Langendorfer. When I was in the last semester of my senior year, I needed a lot of direction. What was I going to do when I graduated? I really did not have any idea. I was clueless. Professor Langendorfer could sense that I needed direction and provided me with guidance. So one day after class, he gave me a package with the simple instruction, follow the directions. I listened and I followed the directions, and as a result, I found employment with Arthur Andersen Co in Chicago, Illinois. I started my first day of work on July 5th, 1965, 1 month after I graduated. Okay? And finally, I just want to share one of the happiest moments of my life. It was in August of 1988 when my deceased wife, Doris, and I came from Chicago and drove my daughter, Michelle, okay, to Chapel Hill so she could attend Carolina. And I'm proud to say that she too is a Carolina alum, okay? Now, so I want to say thank you to the Kenan-Flagler School of Business for bestowing this award upon me tonight. And to thank you to the University of North Carolina for taking a chance on me in 1961. I am truly blessed, grateful, and I thank you.